Go. Oh. We're live.
Are we live right now?
We did it live, Dean.
Did we do it live? Are we live at this moment? Did they miss the intro?
Moment.
The intro was fabulous. Best intro ever, for sure. Apologies that people could not hear it, but yeah, a little bit of a hiccup there on YouTube's end. Was telling the people about the big boy slate going down tonight. It's Friday night. It's a 14-gamer, not messing around. No time for shenanigans. We were bringing out the A squad for crunch time. We got Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth coming in at 6:15. Weather looks pretty good for what it's worth, so he'll just be holding it down and hosting. Obviously, if anything pops up, he'll be all over it. You have Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, Derek Carty, CEO Bat, and the Blitz. The Blitz season is coming around very, very soon. NFL, what is it? Less than a week away from the official start of the NFL season. I know it's best ball season. That's why Bobby Gomes has a big smile on his face. He's a big fan of best ball. Loves that best ball, touting it all over the place. What's up, Bobby? How's Friday treating you?
Been good, just influencing the best ball basically game, right? The format, it's so new and it's so much easier to tout than DFS. DFS is dead, mind you, if you haven't heard.
I heard that somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, guys who don't play pretty much all year round, then it's dead. Yeah, I don't know. We're just grinding the best ball influencer streets.
Yeah, you're like the Kylie Jenner of best ball, the way you influence those best ball streets. You moved Cooper Kupp from 3 to 15, right? That was all you?
Yeah,
maybe.
Possibly? That was me. And then I took him. Then I faked everyone out, and today I took him at 6. My best team so far.
That's, you're playing chess. Everybody else is
we'll just
chess.
wait on the ADP, get some value. No, I'll take him at 6. I'm not taking Bijan. Well, actually, Bijan's good, but yeah, that's a horrible advice, by the way. I don't know why I took him at 6. I just I want to take some Cooper Kupp, so I don't know.
I don't want to derail the show, but I have 0 Bijan Robinson, not one share. I might have one. I think I might have one, but yeah, I don't like 80 teams, but
I have Bijan, but it's because I have Fields teams and I'm stacking week 17 like a real pro.
Oh, yeah, that's here's the thing that nobody's telling you. That team ain't getting the week 17. Probably not.
Yeah.
All right. It's the greatest DFS player, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Playing a little bit injured today. He's going to power through. It's TJ Zwarch. What's up, TJ? How's Friday treating you?
Not treating me great, but we're going to persevere. The back problems from earlier in the week progressed into neck problems, so having a real rough go of things, but we're gonna battle on through. We're gonna make it big 14-game slate, ready to win some money. Playing 100 lineups, got some home run bets in that will drop some Spidey bombs for every 50 likes. So make sure people are hitting that like button, and I'm ready to get rolling.
Many, many years ago, Kia wrote a song about her neck and her back. Do not Google that one, kids. That one's not for the children in the room. But when you mentioned the back and the neck, I was thinking of that song. I don't know if you guys might be a little too young for that one, but there you go. And that's for a couple of
too young for a teen. We know what song it is.
My neck, my back, my lineups, and my bets. That's my day-to-day.
Did your brain go there too, Bobby, or is that just me? That was probably just me. Maybe it's just me. But TJ's playing with a back today and a neck. You got 2 body parts that are going to be monitored. Hopefully, you can power through for the next hour and 10 minutes until we yield to crunch time. Potts and Derek Carty, as well as Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. Do want to say what's up to the chat? Hey, chat, kindly hit that like button. Consider subscribing. Why not? Hey, not just for baseball, but for football. Football is right around the corner as well. We just kind of mentioned that. Now, I know I mentioned that, but I'm not sure if I mentioned that we were on air or not on air. Maybe I'm repeating myself. I'm not sure. But, obviously there's going to be a ton of NFL content taking y'all straight up the lock. Myself and Bobby, this is not official, but I think we're 2/3 of the group that's leading things off on Sunday morning, 9:30 in the morning, an egregious hour. But, the people are going to want their football. That's going to be fun.
You better not complain about that because it's better than 10:15 or 10:30, whatever we were at last year.
Wait, 9:30 is better than 10:15? What's the difference?
On NFL Sunday, yeah.
Because you want time to tinker with your lineups and stuff?
I want a little bit of time, Dean.
Yeah, all right. Well, I thought you just push a button and you get 150 lineups and you automatically win. That's not how that works.
I thought that was how it works, but I found out the hard way that it wasn't.
Twitter told me. Twitter lies a lot because somebody on Twitter was telling me that's all you got to do, and I guess that's not the case. College football, that's in full swing. UCF, we're 1-0. We destroyed Kent, I believe, last night. Take that, Kent. There's one Kent person out there who's really bummed. UCF on the way to their second national title. They're 1-0, of course. Week 0's down. Week 1 officially goes down tomorrow. I don't think there's a lot of great games. I was kind of looking at the slate as far as, like good team versus good team, but plenty of DFS stuff out there. College football Discord. The Discord is hopping. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. You go into the college football channel. Our Discord channels, basically all of them, most of them, with the exception of a few. I believe Blender, Grant's got a Discord channel you got to be premium for, and Carty, of course, the Bat Discord channel. But most of them are free as long as you need an RG account. Doesn't have to be a paid account, just any RG account, and you can hang out with us in the Discord channels. Of course, baseball has its own Discord channel, NFL as well. Check out the college football Discord. And since we're here, we might as well mention it. The NFL, I mean, the read says the NFL's already here. It kind of, sort of, somewhat is, right? It's still 6 days away, but the NFL, we're here already. Well, our team here at RotoGrinders, we're ready to go. Our experts, our suite of tools. RotoGrinders, let us handle the legwork so you can work less, win more this NFL season, get access to everything we have to offer. Special discount available only to those without an RG subscription. You can get a full season sub for $50 off. The limited price now $375. The sale will end opening night of the season. Again, that is Detroit versus Kansas City. All right, TJ, I'm going to throw it to you as far as this slate 14 gamer. It's a lot of pitching. I don't know the feud. I don't know if we're playing the feud, but the feud might take forever because there's so many good pitching options. I told
you there's only 7 pitchers in the pool.
I think that's wild. That makes for a really interesting game because I had a horrible time trying to rank my pitchers today, and I couldn't quite figure out. Like 3 through 10 is like all the same. Obviously, different prices and all that, but there's not a lot that stands out. But a lot that, like, sure, if you want to play that guy, go ahead. I'm not going to argue with you, but yeah, that's going to be interesting for sure. Not a lot of offense. You're gutless and injury riddle. We'll say that too. Blue Jays are in cores. They have a total close to 7. There's no Chapman. There's no Bichette. But again, their total is close to 7, taking on Chris Flexen and his reverse splits. Other teams that have totals above 5, I think there's just a couple. Almost Houston. Houston's just below against Carlos Rodon and his homer woes. The Red Sox, good weather in Kansas City today. Not sure what Kirkwood's dew point model says, but I was looking at Chief Mineralogist Weather Edge, Kevin Roth's Weather Edge tool, and I believe it had the fire emoji. So Boston's got a 5.5 total. Let's just go ahead and confirm that is still a thing. Weather is fluid. Yeah, there is a fire emoji in Kansas City, 86 degrees, crosswind, and a 56 as far as the dew point, and also a fire emoji in Coors. I think there's one more team that has a total above 5, unless I'm just making that up. Most of them are around like 3-ish or 4-ish, but it's tough to find a ton of bats that you like today necessarily. But somebody's going to break through. That's just how it goes. Baltimore close to 5, but no, I think there's just 2 teams above 5. Give me the screenshot here, the overview, Bobby. We're going to play the feud in a second. We're going to have some fun trying to guess who was in TJ's pool, because were you surprised as I was? Just 7 pitchers are in his pool? That seems like not a lot.
Pitching's very strong tonight, but I can see being able to get condensed because there are like some very good options, right? So if you're playing 100 or 150, whatever TJ's doing, I don't mind the 7 pitchers, but I get that you may have a larger pool. I like getting condensed, so I like the way that TJ is kind of approaching it.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea to take stands. Go ahead. You were saying.
Yeah, strong pitching slate, core slate with gutless Toronto. So we'll see how that goes. Pretty much the overview, and it's 14 games. There's going to be a lot of cheap bats that you can get. This is Toronto's first night in cores, right?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Like we saw the Braves put like 19 runs.
I think it's a thing for
there.
Toronto, right?
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's a thing. I feel like somebody did a study on it, and it wasn't necessarily true, but I don't know how it was only for like 1 season. I think it might have been Carty or Cheese. One of those 2. Maybe we'll ask when they jump on if it's actually a thing or not. But I know people think it's a thing, so take with that what you will.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading chat.
Yeah, no worries. Anything interesting going on in chat?
No, we have me and Kirky have the we're doing Kirky and Noto, I think, are doing the tournament take show this year. So tune into that, I think, next Thursday.
Yeah, that's always a good listen. That typically comes out on Friday. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, Friday. I think Kirk might have said Thursday in chat, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would make a point to listen to that for sure. It's one of my favorite listens, and I like the way Kirkwood hosts. He never hosts. You never get Kirkwood hosting. So I'm assuming he's still the de facto host.
Yeah, elite host. Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah. In the host power rankings, Kirkwood, certainly on the board. Also should mention the call-ups today, right? Teams are expanding rosters from 26 to 28. We're seeing Jason Dominguez making his MLB debut. If you were in the card market, I remember this guy, like his cards, like when he's like 16 years old, was like a huge deal, like thousands upon thousands of dollars. One of the bigger prospects in baseball. I mean, he's not like elite, but I think he's like 25 or so in baseball. I guess, when he was 16, people were saying he's the next coming. And of course, he's a Yankee as well. He's 2K on DK. I don't know if he's in the FanDuel pool. I think he's just on DK. Why is he not? There's no price on him here. I'm looking at the lineups page, but I thought for sure I saw him on DraftKings. Several other names are going to pop up as well, and you're like, who is this guy? And it's in part because they got called up because rosters have expanded. TJ, what is your screenshot in regards to the slate? I know it's dominating by pitching. Are you running 150? Is that the strategy? You're going to power through and make 150 lineups tonight?
Just 100. I kind of have a bit of and maybe this will kind of add more context to why my pitching pool is so small too. But my strategy here until NFL season starts is I'm lowering, like focusing on bankroll management, lowering my stakes and a little bit, but then trying to take some harder stands and get a little riskier. And so if I lose, whatever, no big deal for that day, but trying to take some more stands to make myself, when I am right on that day, a little more likely to win the tournament. So 100 lineups for me today.
Did you say, Bobby, what are you playing today? You rolling on a ton or what?
I'm playing 150 too. I typically do last 2 Augusts. I've kind of done similar to what TJ does, just to kind of get the bankroll ready for NFL. But then I don't know, NFL wasn't the best last year, so I don't think it really mattered. But yeah, so we're hoping to I'm playing 150, and then we're going to be rolling into NFL next week.
All right, let's talk about the pitchers. Again, there's a plethora of good names. Max Scherzer's our unanimous number one, and I mean, he's not expected to be super popular according to as far as like the top guy, right? He's the most popular guy. And there's a lot of guys throwing baseballs, but 26% is not a huge number. If we can trust that number, I think it might be a little bit higher, but I'm not sure. 26% for Scherzer on DK, Paxton at 19, who hasn't been great, but Kansas City is kind of terrible, but it is not the best pitching environment today, specific to that ballpark for what it's worth when it comes to temperature. Sandoval is a cheapie, and he's throwing baseballs against the terrible Athletics. Senga at 14%, and it's just all these guys, just Senga at 14, Peralta. He's really good at 14%. Sears not great, but he's cheap. Verlander, pretty good, but he's expensive, 12%. It's super jumbled here, TJ. Like, it's just whoever you like, just play, right? I think that's one of our first thoughts, and we'll play the feud in a second. But what is that kind of your thoughts when it comes to ownership today? There's not like any sort of big ownership stand you can take where it's like, well, I'm just not going to play the guy that's 50% owned because there's like 20 other good options. Is that how you see it, or what are your thoughts when it comes to just ownership before we kind of delve into who happens to be in your pool?
Yeah, nothing really I would worry about for ownership. Maybe Scherzer a little bit, but at the same time, he's going to be 11K, so I don't even know if he is going to be all that highly owned. So mostly just going with who I want to go today. How I'm doing it is I'm prioritizing my bats and then going with the pitchers that fit with those sets of bats today.
Let me ask you this. We're not talking stacks and such today, but like we were kind of talking about how there's only 2 or 3 offenses that have a total above 5. So it's really like not a lot of bats you necessarily, like on paper before the game start and all that, you have to have like, oh my God, it's like when the Braves were in Coors, like it felt like you were really putting yourself in a tough spot if you were under the field on Braves. But is there that team today or a collection of teams, or like, man, I can't imagine not having a bunch of this team, that team, and this team? Because again, not a lot of teams are well positioned because there's a slew of good pitchers. Yes, Toronto's got a 7 total. They're still Toronto. Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, do you think there's several teams that you just must have and you regret immensely if you didn't have them before the slate starts?
So I don't know about regret. For me, it's just more so there's a lot of teams that aren't picking up much ownership that I'm very excited about playing at low ownership today. It's not necessarily teams I'm afraid of not having, of just a few teams that I'm very excited to get to. The Blue Jays are the priority. They're the one team that it's like I would be very afraid of not getting to them, because in addition to the Coors Field thing, it's like, who do you want to play Blue Jays against? It's reverse splits righties. All of their best hitters are reverse split righty hitters. And so I definitely would not want to get underweight on them today. I got
2 of them are hurt, but yeah.
I mean, Chapman's better to lefties than he is to righties. He's not one of the, and Bichette's their best to lefties, but like Vlad is the biggest guy that has always been better to righties than he has been to lefties throughout his entire career. And now he's facing one of them that's not a good ground ball guy and who is a reverse splitsy. Like I think Blue Jays chalk is good chalk, and especially because it barely even is chalk.
Yeah. Bobby, your similar thoughts, by the way? I'm just curious. Is there any sort of offenses?
I was going to play the Blue Jays as probably a 3-man, but now that TJ kind of switched my take on it, because I know he's a Blue Jays fan. He's watching this team every day. And basically what he said with the reverse split situation, like I can definitely get to the Blue Jays. I like the Orioles. I like Kansas City and the Red Sox playing the weather there. Don't mind Detroit. I usually don't play Detroit, but I think like their bats are cheap, and with the pitching, like you can pay up there a little bit. Don't mind Arizona. Definitely going to play the Colorado side with the weather being what it is in Coors. And yeah, that's kind of who I'm getting to currently.
In Toussaint, we're not talking hitters necessarily right now. We're just kind of teasing it. We'll talk about it later. Talking arms first, but Toussaint has got a walk rate of, I think, close to 17%, which seems unacceptable. Yeah, 16.7% is K rate at 22%. And I don't love Detroit either, especially on such a huge slate, but there are some cheap bats there that kind of make stuff work. All right. Bobby, you know how the feud works, right? You played the feud before with TJ, I imagine?
I have not played the feud. Maybe. I feel like I haven't, though. I'm not sure. Maybe.
But you've seen, Steve Harvey? You've seen the show, Family
Feud? Yeah.
Okay. Or Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers? Have you seen that? It's basically
That's my favorite show. Yeah. Unbelievable. Baby Billy.
It's a similar concept for sure. Yeah, so we'll just kind of bounce back and forth. We'll try to guess who is in TJ's pitching pool. And I'm working backwards in my head. Like, okay, who's not going to be in it? Like, for sure. Like, we can do it that way. But if it's only 7, that'll take too long.
It's too big to do that. It's too big of a slate to do that.
I am going to say, unless you want to go first. You go first, Bobby. Tell me who.
All right, I'll go first.
Name somebody that's going to be in
He's definitely
TJ's.
pitching Scherzer. He's pitching Peralta. He's pitching Peralta. You
only fire one name at a time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I fired Scherzer first. Am I right with Scherzer?
That was a big X.
X on Scherzer? Okay.
Well, tell me why he should play Scherzer, because and TJ will tell you why he's not. But why do you think he should play Scherzer?
Scherzer's been fantastic since going to Texas. Like I don't see why you wouldn't play Scherzer. You got a good K prop. I don't know. It's a good spot. Obviously, he's chalk. If you're playing 150 and trying to get different, I get it. But I don't know. Like he just pitched against Minnesota, so maybe that's why he doesn't want to go there. Which I would get, but I don't know. In cash games, I feel like Scherzer's like the guy I would be trying to get to.
Yeah, he's definitely the first guy I'd put into cash games today. I have a very distinct stand that I'm taking, and one of them, and it's kind of leading into bats again, teasing a little early, but I absolutely love the Atlanta Braves today. Nobody is playing the Braves. I'm not afraid of Julio Urias, and so you're gonna find a theme in my pitching pool today. And 11K Scherzer just doesn't really fit with what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to be heavily overweight on the Houston Astros, the Atlanta Braves, the Blue Jays, these expensive teams today.
I like that take. Yeah, I like the Braves take because like you always play the Braves. You guys, by chance, watch that game last night? Was it 8-7, the battle of the two MVP nominees? Acuna, hell of a day for Acuna yesterday. Dude hit a grand slam. He founded the 30-60 club, and he also got married. He got married in the afternoon. So congrats to Ronald. Yeah, what a day for Ronald Acuna. What'd you do yesterday, TJ?
Laid in bed because my neck hurts so badly.
He puts us all to shame. So
and I went to Costco. That was my one activity of the day. Was my wife and I went to Costco.
What's your go-to? What's your average bill at Costco? What do we stock up on?
Was $4.25 yesterday.
Oh, $5 less, and the chat would have been thrilled.
Yeah.
All right. You get the samples? Are you into the samples there at Costco? You get yourself a hot dog at Costco?
We actually got we brought home a whole pizza for supper from Costco. We did one of their big pizzas, $12 for a full pizza from the confectionery.
It's a heavy pizza, right?
A big pizza, yeah. And so we brought that home for supper, and then got a lasagna with some garlic bread and a shepherd's pie that we'll cook up later on.
All right. Bobby, a big Costco guy?
Yeah, I'm a big Costco guy. All the Kirkland stuff they have at Costco. Yeah, we're big Costco people.
There you go. All right. So TJ kind of gave the game away. So now it's like super obvious who he's going to be rolling out there. I would say pretty clearly that TJ will have Patrick Sandoval in his pool, like for sure, 100%.
Ding, ding, ding. Patrick Sandoval is in the pool. We are also 4 likes away from Spidey Bomb #1, so make sure you keep hitting that like button. Sandoval been better. He started the year pretty poorly, been a little bit better. The Oakland's not very good, and it's a big park upgrade for them going into Oakland, and so that's why it's Patrick Sandoval for me. One player on this entire Oakland team with an ISO over 200 to lefties. I'm all aboard the Sandoval train.
We officially got their lineup, I believe. I thought we did, but according to PlayIQ, we don't. Did they not put it up there yet, or did I just imagine that their lineup popped up? I thought we saw it. Let me see.
Ruiz, Elof,
yeah.
Perez, Rooker, Langoliers, Diaz, Bride, Allen.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what we anticipated as well. All right, Bobby. You got one strike. You're not out of the game just yet. Who else is in TJ's pool?
Yeah. I would say I'm going to go Eduardo Rodriguez.
Ooh.
The last cut for me. It's an X, but that is if I had 8 in my pool, the 8th guy would be Eduardo Rodriguez. I really considered rolling with him against the White Sox. I don't
really like Eduardo tonight.
I don't like the White Sox, and Erod has put up some really big games this year, but it's a good park for home runs, and price was just not there for what I think I'm going to get out of him today. And so he was my last cut.
Okay. Looks like he's a conviction play, by the way. I'm looking at the lineup HQ for mine for. It's a cheapie. Actually, not that cheap, right? He's 9.4K on DK, only getting 7% because the ownership's kind of down because the price is probably a little bit too high for my liking. What is he in your pool, Bobby? Sell me on Erod because I didn't rank him, but like there's a lot of good pitchers I didn't rank today, and obviously the White Sox, they're in the gutless power rankings for sure.
Yeah, you just hit on it. Like I like attacking the White Sox, pretty much have all year, and Erod's been good to me, so I don't mind going to Erod. You're getting pretty low ownership on him. If you're trying to go to the builds TJ's doing, I don't mind starting with Erod. Yeah, he's someone I think I can definitely get. Like if he's going to be 5%, I could play him at 20 and feel all right about it in tournaments.
Pulling up the play IQ, what a really impatient Chicago lineup too. Collectively 5.6% as far as taking walks. The only person that has a walk rate above 6.3% is the 9-hitter Corey Lee, and that's in a really, really small sample where he's got 1 walk in 9 ABs. Obviously Anderson, it's been a horrific season for him. Moncada, I think he's dust. It's pretty much over for him. Callas has shown no power so far in the majors. It's he's fine. It's just for me, it's kind of victim of the slate, but I'm not going to tell somebody they can't roster Erod. TJ, we're going to pick another cheap pitcher because that's what you're doing. You're rostering cheap pitchers. So you have both sides. I'm pretty sure you have both sides of that Los Angeles Angels Oakland Athletics game. You have Patrick Sandoval, and then you're going to have some JP Sears against whatever's left of the Angels.
Sandoval is my second highest owned pitcher. JP Sears is my highest owned pitcher. Wrote him up in the expert survey today as my favorite pitcher on the slate. And then when rolling out the lineups, that's how it looked for me as well. I got 41% JP Sears.
Woof, that's a big number for sure. Bobby, your thoughts as far as Sears? I'm not going to get the 40%, but he's certainly in the pool, and the Angels don't scare me, and that ballpark's great to pitch in.
Yeah, I think if it fits construction, right? So I don't mind going there. So for me, like the Angels have just really struggled against left-handed pitching pretty much all year. I get why he wants to go to Sears. And it just fits the way he's kind of building to get to the Atlanta Braves, the Blue Jays. I get it. Do you like Walker at all?
I do like Walker as a I'm going to take that as the next official guess. And yeah, he is in the pool. I got myself a lot of Walker. I like him quite a bit today. Strong matchup. Had a bad game last game, but he's been doing very well lately. Switched up his pitch mix a little bit, and he's been playing a lot better. So nice, cheap salary for him on DraftKings. Don't know if I need to get there on Fanduel, but on DraftKings, I like that salary quite a bit today. And so I got some Walker. We did just get the Angels lineup, and like this is why I love Sears. It's Shanuel, Rengifo, Otani, Drury, Moustakas, Ohapi, Grichuk, Moniak, and Paris.
So not to cut you off, I just Googled I just like who's Paris? I'm not aware. Kieran Paris. Not a huge prospect in the team. I believe this is his MLB debut. Again, players are getting called up these days. Tons of speed though. 44 stolen bases this year in AA, 21 years old, and also 14 homers. Wonder if he's in the pool. Maybe if he's like a 2K cheapie, whatever. I don't know. Just you were probably going to ask TJ like, who's Paris? Maybe you're thinking about it. I was thinking it, and that's who he is. But as far as a prospect in their organization, 15th ranked prospect according to Fangraphs in the organization. Again, 60 speed, ton of speed, a little bit of power. 14 homers this year. Maybe if he's 2K, just to kind of make stuff work. Like put him in that Jason Dominguez bucket, I suppose. But you're not afraid of that lineup, obviously, for the Angels, I imagine.
No, not even a little bit.
Let's see. Is Paris in the pool? He is. He's 2K shortstop on DK. So maybe that's usable. I'm not sure if you want to spend up for something like the Braves, but making his debut tonight. So how many names do we have? 3 or 4 already knocked off the board?
There are Sears is gone, Sandoval is gone, Waka is gone, so 3.
So this one I think is kind of sort of, I'm not going to say he's chalk, but he's like sort of co-chalk, right? James Paxton, 20% we're looking at on DK. Let's see if we get a refresh and get an update. The environment, this Royals team's not very good, but he's pretty cheap. He hasn't been great. He's old. He's often injured. But I think it sort of fits what you're trying to do. So I think you're going to have some James Paxton.
I am going to have James Paxton, although I'd love if the ownership was a little bit lower. I just feel like he has 10 strikeout upside in this spot. I don't know if he's going to get there. I do have some Kansas City stacks as well. I like stacking Kansas City up against him a little bit, but when Paxton's strikeout stuff is there, he plays like an ace sometimes. And so I don't want to miss out on the potential of 10K Paxton tonight, even though he is somewhat chalky.
All right. You're up, Bobby. Some names being thrown out in chat. Eric's thrown out Cole Irvin. He is cheap. They're mentioning Senga. I think Senga might be too expensive for TJ. Not sure. I'm not trying to steer. Feel free to throw any name out you want. But we got a couple more to go, and then we'll talk about other players that certainly are worth. I imagine like Verlander's probably not in TJ's pool, but you can talk about him. Wheeler, same deal. Glasnow is fabulous. He's not going to be owned at all. probably because they're not going to push him too hard, and he's the most expensive, I believe, pitcher on the board. But what do you want to nominate next, Bobby? Let's clean this board that TJ's thrown out there.
Yeah, lower owned guy. I've been pitching well. Put up 30 in his last 2 starts. I'm gonna go Mitch Keller. He's in St. Louis. I know St. Louis doesn't have the highest strikeout rates, but I definitely think TJ, if he's playing tournaments, sees that ownership, and he's trying to get on the Mitch Keller train tonight.
Love me some Mitch Keller tonight.
Me too.
Oh.
Me too. Yeah.
8K only, nice and cheap. And in addition to that, it's like the 5%. That's just what's crazy to me. And so, yeah, I didn't know what to say. And then just no words came out of my mouth there. From a like comparing ownership to how much I like them standpoint, a ratio, he's my most liked compared to how lowest owned player he is, if that makes sense.
He was actually going to be my first guess for some reason, but I don't know. I just feel like you're a tournament guy. He seems like the tournament play.
Yeah, I love me some Mitch Keller today.
And see, just the way this pitching slate is, like myself, Kirkwood, Cards, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, only one of us ranked Keller in our top 8. It's just really, really tough. There's a lot of good pitchers out there. Keller's been better.
My 5 highest owned pitchers. My 5 highest owned pitchers are off the board. All that's left is the bottom 2. And we also are over 50 likes, and we got way more people watching now, so it should be nice and easy to get us up over 100. Gammy Spidey Bomb number 2. But the first one, I'm going to Baltimore. They're one of my favorite stacks today as well. I believe Bobby liked Baltimore quite a bit also. And Gunnar Henderson is Spidey Bomb number 1. You can get him for plus 460 on Bet Rivers, plus 450 on FanDuel. Spidey Bomb number 1, Gunnar Henderson.
Oh, we're gonna have to compete today. The Dongs versus the Spidey Bombs for sure. I like to fire out 3. I like to cap it at 3. We'll unleash one, at least one before we yield to crunch time. If we don't get them all fired off, we'll put the rest of them in the chat as crunch time is going on. I don't have anything just yet to counter, but something's going to come up organically for sure. So we got 2 more pitchers on your board. Let's see let me just run through them. Like, who is it not? Just kind of run through them through my head. I don't think it's Jake Irvin. It might be Yuri Perez, but probably not. It's not Glasnow. It's not Quantrill. I don't think it's Senga because he's too expensive. I don't think he's Gilbert because he's too expensive. It's not Joe Ryan because he's too expensive. Peralta too expensive. Wheeler too expensive. Are you possibly rostering Touki Toussaint? That's a maybe, which is outrageous, but you might be doing that. I don't think you're going to Jordan Lyles. You got Paxton. Rodon has just been a disaster, but he is cheap, but I don't think you're doing that. No for Flexen, no for Ryu, no for Hudson. You said Waka was in?
Yeah.
It's not Freed or Urias. Now I'm losing names. Okay, so is it possible you're actually spending on one guy? Is that something you're possibly doing? Not sure. I'm going to say
in the realm of possibilities. I will say you said no to who it is, but you did also say no to everybody. So
yeah, well, because you've taught me that like you don't want to spend money, but maybe there's one guy you're making an exception for. And it's not Scherzer. But I'm gonna go the other way on this one and say something really goofy and say Touki Toussaint, just because he's really cheap and he's playing Detroit. And theoretically, if he's not walking the world, he's got a chance.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Touki Toussaint is the guy, Dean. He's in the pool. He is the 6th highest owned guy, so all that's left is number 7 now. He's cheap, and if the walks go his way and they're lower, they get 2 or 3 of them as opposed to 4 or 5 of them. He's shown he has the potential to put up a pretty decent score, and for that salary, I'll take the shot.
Okay, and that's the sales pitch, right? He's facing Detroit, and he's pretty cheap, and just have a little bit of control, and then maybe it'll work out.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Taking a shot.
Bobby, you got Touki at all?
I have Touki, yeah.
You feel good about it?
I'm playing both sides of it. Like I'll play the Detroit side just because of the walks, and then I'll play some Touki.
Let's knock out this board. We're doing pretty good. Let's see who's the seventh pitcher he's throwing. Apparently it's somebody I mentioned, and I guess it's somebody expensive.
I think it's Gilbert.
Gutless Mets.
Yeah. Is it Gilbert?
It is not Gilbert.
Tell me why you like Gilbert, Bobby.
The Gutless Mets. I feel like that's been the analysis. For me, I just think that the Mets are in a. I mean, Gilbert's in a good spot versus the Mets. Obviously, Seattle on the road. Mets traditionally a good ballpark for pitching. Yeah, 9-3. You're not getting into like the 10Ks when you're trying to pay up for these better bats.
They called up Mauricio, the Mets, and that's one of the bigger prospects in baseball. I think he's like 50 or 60 overall, fourth in the organization, 22-year-old, batting ninth tonight. I think he's got a ton of power, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, 60, 70 raw power, according to Fangraphs. I think he's a speedster, too. Yeah, so this year in AAA, and he's another 2K cheapie that plays shortstop, and you don't really want to pick on Gilbert. Certainly the guy at home in the 9-hole might just get like 3 legit at-bats, but there's a ton of pedigree here. They also have Beatty back. In 2023 this season, AAA for Mauricio, 23 homers, 24 stolen bases. Yeah, so he's just an interesting 2K flyer. He might be better than the one for the Angels, actually. If you're just betting on talent, he's better than that guy. But, I guess the matchup's a little bit better. I'm talking about Paris versus Mauricio. Just sort of throwing it out there. If we need a flat-out punt, you could do worse than Mauricio for the Mets. And I'm pretty sure this is his first Major League game, right? I think he's making his debut tonight. I do have him on my season-long team because I needed some stolen bases. So got that in there. The people love the season-long talk. Did we hit all 7? No, we need one more, right? We got to get one more.
We do need one more.
Let's see if the chat. What the chat? Mr. Richard saying Verlander. I think it could be Verlander. Derek saying Peralta. Hoosiers thinks it's Ryu. I know you're a homer, but come on, Ryu. And I know Colorado stinks. I don't think it's Hyunjin Ryu. I guess it's my turn here, Bobby. I got to throw somebody out here. I think so.
It is.
Throw Perez.
Perez is great. We know the deal with Washington. They don't hit homers, but they don't strike out either. How much of the Marlins willing to push Perez? They basically sat him on the bench for 3 or 4 weeks this year, just kind of subdue his innings. Still 21 years old, right? 21, 22.
Yeah, we only have him for 84 pitches, so yeah, no Perez.
That's the concern with him is they just don't really want to push him. If you're in a dynasty league now, get yourself some Yuri Perez. Oh my God, fabulous. 6'7", I believe. Just ridiculous. Just going to be a future stud. He already kind of is showing the signs. It's not Glass now. I'm going to say it's Kodai Senga. Jeez. Well, did the chat get it right? Are you watching the chat?
I'm watching the chat. The chat has not gotten it right. If we take a peek at the bat projections, there's somebody who is actually projected to do pretty well and a pitch count over 100, and he's under 6K. It's Dakota Hudson. I don't like Dakota Hudson, but he's got a high pitch count, and I don't really like Pittsburgh either. And so gonna take shots on a real cheap guy going up against a pretty weak Pittsburgh lineup.
Yeah, I did that checks the boxes that you want to check. So that makes sense, right? It's
not a strikeout guy, but 60% ground ball rates against a pretty high strikeout team. Should get some easy outs. Maybe if he has a ceiling strikeout game, I'll probably have a pretty good day.
Yeah, he can eat up 6 innings if things are going well. Pretty good ballpark to pitch in, and this Pirates lineup is not especially good. No McCutchen in there. Bay, Reynolds, Hayes, Sawinski. We got Andy Rodriguez, Prospect, Palacios, Paguro, Rivas, and Delay. It's not good. It's not a good Pittsburgh lineup. I'm okay with that. Yeah, sure. That's what you're trying to do. Bobby, who's the biggest thing you're taking today as far as pitching? Are you spending up on a couple pitchers? If you are, who's your favorite spend up?
My 2 GVP plays that I really like are Eduardo and Mitch Keller. I think they're very interesting. In terms of spends, probably Freddie Peralta. Obviously, Scherzer's the chalk, but Peralta's just been on fire with the strikeouts. 59 strikeouts over his last 6 starts. I think Kirky wrote up in the write-up. So, yeah, I don't mind Peralta. I think he's a good GPP option. Phillies, obviously they have the big five there with Real Muto, just the top of their order. Harper, what's his name? The big Schwarber. Like there's guys there that can, but they all K. So I don't mind getting to some Peralta. It's interesting. Neither me or TJ like Scherzer too much. Like I like Scherzer. He's been.
Is it an ownership thing for you?
I'm actually on Scherzer because Minnesota is just first righties. I think that they can be had, so I don't mind getting to some Scherzer. I think Glasnow I'd probably stay away from. Probably stay away from Wheeler, but definitely going to play some Peralta. Going to play some Gilbert. Going to play some Eduardo. Those would probably be the guys that'll have at the higher range. I think you can make a case for Senga versus the Mets.
Glasnow we're projecting 90 pitches for, by the way. That's, you kind of want, if you're going to spend that money, you want triple digits if you can get there.
Yeah, I have no interest in Glasnow versus Cleveland either.
Not the best matchup.
Yeah.
We do have some umpire data. I'm trying to see if we have any extremes. I don't think we do. Oh, there you go. We got one. We have an extreme pitchers umpire in for the Dodgers. Two good pitchers, by the way. We just did not acknowledge their existence. Max Fried and Julio Urias. Extreme pitchers umpire. Obviously, two of the best offenses in baseball attacking them. TJ already made his, stand clear. He's going to be rostering the hitters there, at least the Braves. Just shout out to Fried and Urias. Got a really cheap price in Urias, too. It's 7-8, which, you catch that guy in the right night. He can go 6 clean and strike out 7 or 8 against some teams. I don't know about Atlanta. What do we do with that game in general, Bobby? I think it's an interesting game. From a watchability perspective, it should be fun, right? Preview potentially of the NLCS if things kind of fall the way people think it might fall. But it's baseball, so goofy stuff happens. Fried versus Urias, that game in general, what are you doing with it?
I saw your tweet today. You just finished the season play. What was it? Braves and Dodgers for the NLCS? Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, I get it. I like the Braves. Obviously, you're getting Braves low owned. I think it makes a ton of sense to get to them when you can in spots like this. So paying up for the Braves and being contrarian, as crazy as that sounds, we've been rostering the Braves every day. I think that's fine for me. I don't know. I think my favorite Brave would probably be Michael Harris. Dinger. He's the lefty I don't love. I'm going to go in terms Acuna's on fire, just paying around 7K. Maybe some Sean Murphy at 5-1, pay up at catcher to be a little different, even though I love Jansen in Colorado. I think it'll be a pretty good game. Don't mind rostering the bats. Good ballpark for hitting. You're going to get both these teams pretty low owned, so I don't mind the strategy of paying up to get to this game.
By the way, Acuna is going for it as far as he's got the 30-60. I think he wants 40-80. He was on the bases last night. He was on second and trying to steal third. Anytime he's on, he's trying to steal now. I think he's going to get to 80. I think he's going to find a way to get to 80 stolen bases. I don't know about hitting 10 more homers. He certainly can. But 30-60 is impressive enough. But 40-80 sounds completely insane. And you got to. It's unfair that one of those guys is not going to be the MVP, right? Amongst Betts and Acuna, and it's probably about who closes the strongest, probably their team as well. But they're both having just absolutely spectacular, completely insane seasons. I'm trying to see if there's any pitchers we kind of missed or kind of just brushed off, that didn't really fit the game necessarily. Several people are asking in chat about Verlander. Did you have a Verlander take, TJ? I know he's just not fitting what you're trying to do, but I assume you think he's rosterable and fine, right? Just kind of expensive.
Yeah, 100%. I like taking pitchers against the Yankees quite a bit because they're usually either hitting home runs or striking out. And so I don't think he's unrosterable by any means. If you want to play him, that's all good. I'm just personally not getting there today.
Mr. Richard Seiko was the only 40-40. I thought Bonds got 40-40. Did Bonds not get 40-40? I thought he did. I'm making that up. Or is he dropping an asterisk on him or something like that? But back then, 40-40 was the standard? No, it wasn't. 2 people did it. Vince Coleman did have 3 seasons of over 100 stolen bases. And didn't he have a firecracker incident in the parking lot? Google that one. Somebody got injured. It was a whole thing. He was throwing. Yeah, I think people got. Do you remember this? No, you probably
No,
not.
I
It
don't
happened
know
a
why
long,
that
long
just
time
made me
ago.
laugh, but it did.
All right. Is this a new lineup just popped up? We got the Padres. Kim, Tatis, Soto, Machado, Bogarts, Cooper. Doing the catching tonight is Campusano. Batten and Grisham is hitting in the 9-hole. Trying to see if there's anybody. Yeah, there you go. Bonds did get 40, 40, and 96. I thought Bonds got it. And all right. Anything else pitching wise that we should sort of focus on or kind of mention? I'm a little bit concerned with the Paxton chalk. He hasn't been great, and I know this Canty offense is not tremendous, but I feel a little uncomfortable with him being kind of the SB2. If you're making cash lineups today, I think he's going to be your SB2 on DK. If I run some optimals, I ran some earlier. I think he was the one that was kind of landing in them. Let's see what I had. So it was like Senga, Paxton, and Scherzer were like the 1, 2, 3 as far as ownership wise, but it's pretty condensed. You're going to be over or under on Paxton, Bobby?
I'm going to be under and over on Sandoval, like in that range.
Is Sandoval going to get pushed up just as the day progresses? Where is he at? He's at 15% now. Yeah, just taking on Oakland. You like Sandoval more than Sears? They're kind of sort of the same price. Similar ownership.
Yeah, I like Sandoval more than Sears, but I like Sears.
Yeah, I think TJ said he had that was 1-2 for you, right? Didn't you say that Sears 1 and Sandoval 2 as far as ownership?
Yeah, Sears 1, Sandoval 2. I honestly I'm overweight on Paxton as well. I don't really want to be, but it's just with the way I'm doing things. That's kind of how it's working out. I'm overweight on all of these cheapies, so it kind of is what it is there.
Give me the summary, Bobby. As far as pitchers, we'll talk bats, we'll talk stacks, all that good stuff. We missed something. If you wanted us to focus on, by all means, fire it off in chat. Join the conversation. It's much more fun when it's interactive, and I'll do my best to pick up on it there in chat. But now I'm Googling Vince Coleman and all right, fireworks, and this apparently was a thing. Okay, because people in chat start talking about it as well. Give me the summary here, Bobby, as far as how we're attacking pitching tonight.
Like rank them?
Just like what's your approach? Give me
I think
TJ
so. Has a really good approach, like paying down. I'm going to be getting to overweight on Keller and definitely Erod, like some Logan Gilbert if I'm paying up. The higher end, I don't see myself getting too much outside. I think you really could condense, like TJ saying, but like Scherzer, Peralta, I think they're probably my two favorite on the higher end. If you consider Gilbert on the higher end, then I don't know. I feel like Gilbert and Erod are kind of the middle tier. I prefer those two more than Peralta and Scherzer. But if I'm just ranking them, that my two favorite up top and then my two favorite in the middle and then getting down low, probably gonna lean Sandoval, Sears, and Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller I like a lot. I think Mitch Keller is a very good play tonight.
Scherzer versus Minnesota, just worth noting, and I think Minnesota is one of those teams where it's just as a general rule, you can always break this, and it doesn't work every single day, but getting over the field on Minnesota as far as the hitters and getting over the field against Minnesota as far as the pitchers, because they have a lot of power and they strike out a ton. If you pull up the plate IQ, it's a ton of green as far as the isolated power and a ton of red as far as striking out. 28.1% collectively striking out versus righties this season. That is a huge, huge number. Wallner's got plenty of power with 33% Ks. Julian at 30% as far as Ks. Polanco 25. Lewis at 25. Gallo hit the lineup in 264 plate appearances. TJ, you're not looking. 264 plate appearances. What is Gallo's strikeout percentage versus righties this season? So it's a huge sample size for a season. 264 bats. What percent is he striking out versus righties?
41%.
Bobby, over or under?
I'm gonna go over.
Yeah,
slightly.
Yeah, 44%. That's an outrageous number. He just strikes
ridiculous.
out so much. It's probably worse left on left. I haven't looked, but that's left on right. So this is a really good strikeout matchup. This feels like one of those games where Scherzer strikes out 10 and probably gives up 2 homers, and hopefully they're solo jobs, right? Feels like a really good matchup because Scherzer will serve some homers as well. But that's kind of the lineup you wanted out of Minnesota if you like Max. I think he's justifiably the number 1 pitcher when it comes to ownership, but I understand all the reasons given why we would pivot away from it as well. TJ Eric wants to hear a Waka sales pitch. Does anybody want to give a sales pitch on Waka? I don't think, was he in your pool? I can't remember.
Yeah, Waka's in it.
Before I give a sales pitch on Waka, I'm going to give a sales pitch on Spidey Bomb number 2. We're over 100 likes. Keep hitting that like button. I want to give a third before the crunch time crew gets here. Let's say 125 likes, and I got a third Spidey Bomb ready to roll. Dean's going to say that this is too big of a name, and it's not a risk to say him at all, because it's like, oh, that's not a stretch. Come on, it's such a big name guy. But he's 2% owned on DraftKings.
Dean wouldn't say that.
1% owned on Fanduel.
I would never.
And he's plus 500 on DraftKings, plus to hit a home run, plus 525 on Bet365. It's Bryce Harper, Spidey Bomb number 2.
Yeah, tough matchup against Peralta, but yeah. You're basically Spidey. So Spidey's like playing the odds. He's hitting up the sports books. Is that what's going on there with Spidey?
That's what we've been doing all season long.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't know. Is Spidey of age? I don't know how old you got to be he's on the fringe.
That's why I got to make the bets for him.
You're his proxy.
Because depending on what Spidey you're talking to, he's anywhere between 15 and 40.
Spidey's well, okay. I haven't seen a Spidey when he's 40, but
there's literally a 40-year-old Spidey in the last Spider-Man live-action Spider-Man movie that came out.
Is that the one where there's like multiple? Is there multiple Spider-Mans? Am I thinking of the wrong movie?
Yeah,
you're right.
That's the one.
Okay. Yeah, that's like the Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fun. A lot going on in that one for sure. Bobby, did you have any homers for the people? Do you want to play along, or you got anything for anything kind of come to you organically, or?
He gave Gunner, right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
For, Baltimore.
Still yours?
I like Gunner. I think it's a good play. I'll go Santander.
Those are the 2 guys I was choosing between for the first one.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about stacks. We'll do that in just a second. Before we do that, do you want to mention Stat Hero? Stat Hero is a unique fantasy sports platform. You know it. You love it. It allows users to compete against the house instead of other players in a particular contest. Their Searing 20 contest, or MLB Pick'em, that is still going on. It's a free-to-play contest. Win to start your streak. Keep your streak alive by playing each day. Build your streak. Win prizes with consecutive wins, including swag, RG Premium, and the cash prize. What is that cash prize? It's $20,000 first prize for the Searing 20. Use the promo code GRINDERS. That's GRINDERS GRINDERS for a 50% deposit bonus. Up to $250. Jump into the action today at Stat Hero. Okay, let's talk bats. Let's talk our stacks today. Consensus-wise, again, myself, Kirkwood, SDL Cards, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. He'll be on in 20 minutes with Derek Carty, as well as Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. These stacks, despite the fact we're playing, 24 teams? No, 48 teams. No, geez. UCF math there. It's 14 ball games and 28 teams are taking the field. We have a really, really condensed pool as far as our favorite stacks tonight. Toronto, number 1 on the board. Number 2 is Boston. TJ, I'm coming to you, by the way, so pay attention. Toronto, Boston, Baltimore, Houston, Colorado, a little bit of love for Detroit, a little bit of love for Miami, but it's, again, pretty condensed. Everybody mentioned Toronto, Boston, Baltimore. Most people mentioned Houston and Colorado. How do you feel about that board? I know you said earlier you like Atlanta, so I was going to ask, who do you want to put on? I guess you'd put Atlanta on the board. Who do you want to kick off? Your thoughts when it comes to stacks today?
Kick off Colorado and fire up Atlanta onto that board. Urias hasn't even really been good this year. I don't understand the lack of love for Atlanta today. Yes, they're expensive, but this has been the best team in baseball all year long. Why are we not just keep loading up this offense against a lefty where they're even better against lefties? I'm just loaded all up.
How about yourself, Bobby? Your thoughts when it comes to stacks tonight?
I'm probably playing pretty much all these stacks. Who would I kick Atlanta off for though? I mean, who would I kick off for Atlanta? I think I would. I guess Miami's the easy one, or Detroit. I feel like that's a gutless answer for me, but
yeah, I like Miami a little bit, and they're pretty cheap. You know, there's some cheap pieces, especially on Fanduel, where like Jazz is $3K over there. If you're playing cash games these days, I think he's a cash game piece. You got the Bell revenge. Bell's really cheap over there too. Berger's pretty cheap on Fanduel as well. They're playable on DK, and Jake Irvin, probably one of the weaker pitchers, taking the bump tonight. If by default, nothing else. This week, there's like, I don't know, 17 like really good pitchers, probably to different degrees. Detroit, you kind of talked about. I think you talked about playing both sides of that game, right? With some Tuki Toussaint and Detroit, again, another really cheap team. If you're looking for a mini stack to make your strong stack, stack one, whatever you want to call it, work. But you're playing both sides that one, right? You're gonna get some Tigers.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some Tigers. I'm gonna have some Tuki. I feel like it's the same for Paxton, like the Paxton situation in Kansas City. I think you can play the KC side, and also some Paxton, just because the hitting weather's pretty good there.
Yeah. Let's see, chat. Feel free to throw out some of your favorite stacks, what you're considering. Tony wants to know, and I think TJ can answer this question. Can we play both pitchers in Oakland? TJ, I believe, well, not to lead you, but I imagine that's something you probably have some lineups with both those guys on.
Yeah, absolutely. That would probably even be my single entry pairing today.
Just see Mr. Richard saying Boston, and more Boston. That's a question for Bobby and his Red Sox. Jordan Lyles, one of the worst pitchers throwing baseballs today, gives up a ton of fly balls. A lot of those fly balls leave the yard. 2.09 fly balls per 9 have left the yard. That's too many. And it's just a 14.7 homer to fly ball, and he's protected by that ballpark to some degree. We also mentioned weather is good for homers today. It is particularly hot in KC.
It's actually not according to Weather Edge.
Has it changed? Because it was good earlier.
No, it had the little fire emoji, but if you look at the actual numbers, it was a decrease in home runs due to the wind, and it was with a really big sample size too.
It's a crosswind. So what do you trust? And I guess it's kind of more of a Roth question. So I'll just trust that like there's a fire emoji. Now runs have increased at 4.5%, 169 game sample. I saw this too. And the homers did decrease at 8.4%. But so more runs were scored, less homers were hit, but it's still telling us that like it's going to be good hitting weather. And I know the sample's pretty big, so it's however you want to interpret that. But for me, like the fire emoji overrides everything, but maybe you see it differently.
No, I just, based on how it's gone so far, it hasn't been a bump to home run in 170 games. So that's the only thing I was really looking at there. Like, I don't think it's bad by any means, but I don't necessarily think it's like some big bump compared to any other game. Like, it's within a few degrees in a bunch of games. It's 86 with a crosswind, but that's not necessarily better than
You're forgetting the dew point, TJ. Don't sleep in the dew point. Kirkwood's out there lurking. He's going to be all over you if you don't acknowledge the 56 dew points.
I mean, yeah, but you look at like Oakland has a 66 temperature with a higher dew point and winds blowing out, which leads to a bigger increase.
So you're saying that this is an incorrect use of the fire emoji? Is that the accusation you're making? It's a liberal use of the fire emoji?
No, because all the fire emoji means is
seems like TJ has his own model here, Dean.
All fire emoji. That's what ask Roth as soon as
we
he
need another model.
All the fire emoji means is that it's over 85 degrees. That's all. It doesn't mean good hitting weather. It just means that it's
that's
over
not true.
degrees. Yes, it is.
No,
he's said that on air so many times.
Hold on a second. No, there's been
all the fire emoji means is it's over 85 degrees.
That's the only element?
Yes.
I don't believe that. If that's true,
he has told you that on air before.
Well, if he told me that, I think there's an extra component. I think there's more to it than that. But if not, hey, you know what? It's 85 in Cincinnati today. Guess what doesn't have a fire emoji? Cincinnati.
Yes, because it's not over 85, Dean. 85
Oh,
is
look at
not
you
over
adding
85.
you adding qualifiers. Just take the L.
It's Roth's tool that he created, and he's the one who laid it out.
It seems like he's widening the goalposts, Dean.
Yeah. See, not just winding him
Over
you're moving
85
him back.
degrees. That is 100% what Roth will say as soon as he's on. That's what.
So why not say 86? Just say 86 to not make things confusing.
Because it's not just 86. It's anything over 85.
I still trust Kirky's dew point model above all this stuff.
Do you have access to it? He won't share it with me.
He won't share it with me either, but I get some inside tips.
Oh, well, what does Kirkwood say about this?
He hasn't told me currently.
And I do have access
he'll
to that. I do have access to that, Dean. So that maybe you should trust my weather talking.
I trust Keith, and Keith in chat is saying TJ is correct. So this could be a big L for me.
All the people in chat saying TJ versus Roth. No, I'm saying I'm trying to message what Roth is saying, and Dean just blatantly ignores Roth. This is TJ and Roth versus Dean.
No, here's what I'm saying.
TJ is a beta user of the dew point model. So
let me ask you this, TJ. Let's say it's 87 degrees, right? But the wind's blowing in 30 miles per hour. You're saying there's going to be a fire emoji. I say there's not.
There will be a fire emoji, yes.
My understanding is, and we'll have Roth clear this up now, is the fire, and we'll move on. The fire emoji is a combination of like the dew point, the temperature, and the wind, and it's like a combination platter, some sort of secret formula. You're saying it's just 86 or higher, and that's it?
To him on a transition, I was on with you, and he was like, no, it's just 85 degrees. That's not a thing.
I'm siding with TJ now, Dean.
I don't feel good about this, sir. I don't feel good where I'm positioned, but I will ask. Remind me.
You're a beta, Dean. That's what Head Chopper said, not me.
That's the fake. Just so you know, that's imposter Head Chopper. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if you know this, but there's a fake Head Chopper in chat. Yeah, because Head Chopper, his actual real name will pop up in chat. So that's not him. That's somebody else who's just yeah. I'm not here to call out.
Because Head Chopper would have the wrench, correct?
Yes, correct. Yes, there you go.
I keep looking at the bottom of the screen to see if Roth has shown up yet, just because I'm so excited for him to give you this answer.
I just don't understand that. I think whatever. All right. I didn't realize it was that simple. I really didn't think it was that simple.
Yeah. That's why I never understood why that would overrule everything for you.
I get very excited when I see the fire. I'm very simple. I see a fire emoji. Oh, I got to play some bats here. That's it. And, I just wanted to, how Plate IQ, it's a green good, red bad, fire good. That's it. That's all I say. I wanted to simplify it as possible. Where are we at as far as likes and such? We have to have another, Spidey Bum fired up. I have to throw out a Dean Stong as well. We did get one out of Bobby. Maybe we can get another one out of Bobby. But also good question by Michael in chat. Why does Keith not have a wrench? Is Keith not wrench worthy? That's unfortunate. Don't you have the tools, TJ, to make it work? Hook him up with a wrench.
I don't have any stream. I don't have any YouTube login credentials. Only the stuff on here to actually get us on stream.
Okay. We got a lineup for San Francisco. If anybody cares, that game is happening. Wade is leading off. Estrada, Flores, Peterson, Yastrzemski, Bailey, Davis, Crawford, and Meckler. That means we're waiting
should have
on
some interest in who's batting for San Francisco, because they have like a 30% K rate on the road. So someone asked about Walker earlier.
That's a good point.
So that would bump
what do you think of that
lineup? It's not the greatest. Like I don't mind going to Walker.
Yeah. What are we waiting on? Basically the West Coast games, right? Oh, Dodgers just came out. We got Betts, Freeman, Smith, Rosario batting cleanup, which is interesting. Taylor, they're dropping Muncy because of the left on left versus Fried. Hernandez, Outman, and Rojas. So Kiki is in there versus the lefty. Outman, not surprisingly. And we have Peralta and Hayward on the bench. No Atlanta just yet. No Arizona just yet. No Baltimore just yet. I think that is all we are waiting on. If there's any questions in chat, by all means, fire them away. If we don't get to them, Roth will get to them about 10 minutes or so for crunch time. He will pull his questions first from the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord in the MLB. Is it the MLB chat? No, the live stream chat, right? Which or is there a crunch time? There's a crunch time room. Which
live stream
TJ,
chat.
you posted crunch time. Okay,
Live stream chat in the live stream chat in the RotoGrinders Discord.
There you go. Eric says, I like shiny objects. Yes, I'm very easily distracted for sure. Yeah, we got to get.
He also said bets leading off, so 0 for 4 bets incoming, as if Betts has not let off every game he started this year.
Who says that?
Eric Johnson.
Oh, yeah. That's as outrageous as saying that, like, fire good automatically without really applying any
Acuna leading off. Bad game incoming.
Yeah. What about, we do like Narrative Street, just got married, right? Like next day. Where does that rank amongst birthdays and bobbleheads? Or did he celebrate that last night with the Grand Slam? I mean, do we think Acuna is going to be a good play now? Or is he distracted?
He's batting 1,000 since the marriage.
There you go.
The one thing, I'm 30 now, so now that I've turned 30, my back seizes up, my neck seizes up. But when I was 25, it didn't matter how many drinks I had, I could still go out and give my best performance the next day. So Acuna's only 25. Even if he was partying, he's going to be fine.
Is he only 25? He's still really young, right?
Yeah.
Atlanta's got incredible contracts. Like he's one of them. Like they have Albies for like 6 years, like 80 million or something like that. Strider for like 5 or 6 years, like 70, 80 million. I think Acuna's like 8 years, 100 million, which is just insane. Like just they have fabulous deals down there. They did give Riley a bunch of money. I think Olsen got paid too, but some of their young guys, they have some and they signed Harris too. Atlanta's gonna be good for a long time, is the point. And they're all like signed on the cheap when you shop around. Okay. Questions in chat? Are questions not popping up? Are people not participating? Okay, We Major's got a question for you. This will be for TJ. What starting pitchers in Fanduel large field tournament do you prefer? Some of your favorite large field tournament pitchers on Fanduel, TJ.
On Fanduel, it's not quite the same as it is on DraftKings, where there's just some pretty hefty price differences. And so it's not just as easy as go really low and really cheap on Fanduel as it is over on DraftKings. But in terms of the cheapies, my favorite is still going to be JP Sears. Sandoval, Paxton, those guys are priced up a bit more over there, but Sears at 7.6K is definitely going to be my favorite of the cheapies. I like Eduardo Rodriguez a lot more on Fanduel than I do on DraftKings. Like on DraftKings, like I said, I was just trying to go the really cheap route, and so he was the last guy that made the cut for him, that didn't make the cut for me. But he's almost the exact same price on Fanduel as he is on DraftKings, where pitchers are typically priced up. So Erod on Fanduel, I love for tournaments. And then I would not be doing the full fade on Scherzer by any means on Fanduel.
Let's see. Okay. Andrew wants to know, what pitchers are we looking for cash and GPP on DK? On DK, I think the cash pairing is probably Scherzer and Paxton. Sengo is also popping up there, but I think that's probably where you want to go. Feel free to disagree with that, Bobby, for cash. And then just GPP-wise, your favorite tournament pitchers on DraftKings.
For cash, Scherzer and Sandoval, I would say, are my two favorite.
Me too.
I think that makes the most sense. In GPPs, I like Mitch Keller. And I like Eduardo, 9.4, my guy, all year. Eduardo. We'll go to Eduardo.
You say all year. I feel like we never get him on like the main slate. He's always pitching like at 640 or something like that. Like I was just, I feel like we missed a lot of the starts.
Because there was a random day when Eduardo Rodriguez, he was a bit cheaper too, and he was like 1% owned. And I remember watching a show and Bobby was like, I like him today. And so I put him in my pool just because Bobby said that. And then he ended up being like a top 2 scoring pitcher on the slate that like 1% owned.
He won me like 28K 2 Sundays.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I play a ton on the Sunday. Like I love MLB. I'm like opposite. Everyone hates Sunday slates. I love Sunday slates for baseball.
I just ran some more optimals for what it's worth. And yeah, it's given Paxton, Scherzer, Senga, some Toussaint, some Peralta, Sears, Sandoval. That's like the first 5 or 6 pitchers, but it is pretty jumbled, especially for, I guess it kind of makes sense since we have a really big slate I'm gonna stick to the fire emoji bit, by the way, and we're gonna all the dongs will be unleashed in Kansas City because I see fire, and that means that we're going for homers. So we want to pick on both Lyles and Paxton. I'm gonna take. Let's see, which Boston Red Sox are we gonna take here? I'm gonna take 2 Royals. Bobby Witt, who's just not gonna be owned. He's a leverage play as well, and Sal Perez. Sal Perez. Really, really cheap on FanDuel. He's 4.2 on DK. Also first base eligible these days. 2.5 on FanDuel. Don't need a roster or catcher, but do not mind that. So we got Witt and Sal Perez. If I was Chop, those would be my knockers. But let's go with not to steal his gimmick. And for Boston, let's see which Adam Duvall. We got Adam Duvall taking Jordan Lyles' yard. You got to stick.
It takes the hottest player in baseball. Some limb you're going out on there. That's what you told me.
The guy with the highest fly ball rate against the pitcher who gives up the most fly balls in Jordan Lyles.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it wasn't just
you're a hypocrite, Dean. Duvall's a good pick, but you're a hypocrite because you got mad at me for picking J-Rod and then pick the other hottest hitter in baseball.
So we're going to put every player is a free agent. Every baseball player is a free agent. We have a big draft, right? You think Adam Duvall gets selected ahead of J-Rod in a draft? Is that what you're suggesting?
That's not like terrible
close
context.
to a little bit of what I said.
Yeah.
Look, I can move the goalposts too.
I'll take Yoshida versus Duvall just to spite Deanie. I like both, but
since we're not going on any limbs today, courtesy Dean, we're 3 likes.
Says the man who picked Bryce Harper.
3. We got a great. You know what? Adam Duvall's odds to hit a home run today are? They are plus 340. Are the very best odds you can get him. So I'm gonna find somebody who has better than that odds for the final Spidey Bomb, and I'm gonna go with Yordan Alvarez, Spidey Bomb number 3, plus 350 on FanDuel today.
Yeah, I was gonna pick some of the Astros actually. I like Chas McCormick, but unfortunately he's not in the lineup. I almost went Altuve. What's Altuve? You happen to have it at the top of the dome because Altuve historically absolutely smashes the southpaws, the diminutive second baseman. We know what the Crawford box is down the left field line. I think he leads off the game with a homer. How about that?
Plus 450 today. I love that actually as a bet.
He's still cranking. Like he's still got some power and he's like dealing with some injuries. I think he's like 34 now, but he's
5 foot Frodo, Dean.
Is that a Lord of the Rings reference you just dropped on me?
Yeah.
Sean Astin. That's Rudy, isn't it? Isn't Rudy Frodo, I think? You've seen the movie Rudy?
Rudy's Frodo?
Rudy. He was offsides. Played with Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? You've seen the movie, right? I'm sure you've
seen the movie. Yeah.
Rudy Rudiger.
Yeah.
All right. But are you a Lord of the Rings
Roth is here.
I could be I'm a big Lord of the Rings guy.
Oh my gosh. What were you saying, TJ?
I said yes, Roth is here.
Oh.
Rudy is Samwise, someone said in chat.
Sandlot's one of like the most overrated movies. People just nostalgia's undefeated, so people think it was great.
He didn't say anything about Sandlot. What are you talking about?
I didn't say anything about Sandlot.
He said Rudy is Samwise. Samwise Gamgee, one of the Fellowship of the Ring.
Dean's just off the whole show.
Good
Who
Lord,
is Samwise? Sam Wise? That's his first and last name. Sam.
Can we just boot him? I love you, Dean, but you gotta go.
Dean's been really rough on this show. I don't know what it is. He's just really.
I would give myself like an A-. I thought that was a pretty solid show. If we're going to get all technical, but.
Can you go ahead and Roth? Can you go ahead and explain what constitutes a fire emoji in Weather Edge?
Yeah, I think it's a temperature of 89 degrees or hotter, which was a weird cutoff that I chose. I probably should have chose 90, but that's it.
It is 86, but
okay.
Just to remind Dean that it's not a bunch of different factors that are the most important thing to look at on the tool. It just means the temperature is over 86.
Correct. That is right.
I get all excited when I see the fire emoji. I thought it was like propriety. I thought like the Duke Point was involved. You and Kirkwood are working on this together.
No, I probably should have done it that way, but there's also a wind icon that shows up if it goes like over 15-mile-per-hour winds or something. But I chose poorly and just had a little heat icon. Oh, they're coming with the 7s for you, Dean.
Theoretically, Roth, if it's 86 degrees, it's 86 degrees, but the wind's blowing in like 35 miles per hour, and we're in Wrigley, right? The wind's blowing in 35 miles per hour in Wrigley. It's 86 degrees. We're getting a fire emoji and weather edge?
And a wind emoji, but yes, you would be getting
What is
both.
that?
Because
Dean
it's
going for the theoretical win.
because it's a heat emoji, not like, oh, this is fire, like the kids say. It's just heat. Oh, it's hot.
So should I not be excited about, because we were talking about the sample. It's 169 games, a sample in Kansas City. And I'm like, ooh, fire emoji. Let's fire up some Boston players. And TJ was like, well, historically, homers have been kind of been down. Now runs have been up, right? But I usually sort of like yield, like I'm going to yield to the fire emoji because I see fire and get excited. You know, like Beavis or Buttett. Was it Beavis? I think it was Beavis.
Honestly, this is more my fault than your fault. But no,
it's not, because you and Dean have had this conversation before on a transition.
I'm very
from
forgetful.
GrindersLive to Crunch Time, and I was on the show just listening, and clearly
been
the one who asked the question was not.
It has been discussed, but you shouldn't really get all that excited about it. It's it's fine.
All right. Well, good to know. Thank you for clearing that up. But if producer Steve wants to throw an L at me, if he can figure that out, but I will take my L. We got anything else, boys, before we step aside and make way for the FanDuel sponsor, Crunch Time? We have Derek Carty, CEO of the Bats and the Blitz. It is Blitz season. Dave Potts of the Musings. Roth, I think it's a pretty easy day weather-wise, unless something has changed outside of, pointing out what a dope I am, but that was easy as well.
I like you're taking the L. That's good.
And that's kind of also, I think that's does that tilt you a little bit, Dave? That's your quarterback, right? You watching the screen?
Oh,
no, we got Dave on mute.
Yeah, you're muted, bud.
How about now? Yeah.
No, you're
There
good.
you go.
You kind of like with the fire emoji. I feel like if there's a flashing red light, that means something good is happening. But it actually means something's on mute. I missed what was on the screen.
It was Baker Mayfield in a Cleveland Browns jersey.
Oh man, yeah. Last night I started watching the Johnny Manziel thing, and now we got Baker coming around. It's been a long life, honestly, but I'm fine.
I gotta fire that up. I watched the Bishop Sycamore one. I don't know if you watched that on HBO about like the fake high school that was on ESPN.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's wild. It's pretty wild, and it's kind of sad too. But
the world is a crazy place. The more like you can't even tell the difference between a documentary and like a totally made up science fiction show anymore.
Producer Steve keeps throwing more and more L's at me. I don't know why I asked for it, but yeah, I did kind of ask for it. And I deserve it as well. My apologies. I was wrong. TJ, anything else before we get out of here?
No, I feel like I haven't seen Dave in forever. I don't think we've done a show together in a long time, so it's just nice to see.
It has been a while. We used to have those early mornings. Maybe we'll catch a few this last month here.
Hopefully.
You got anything, Bobby?
That's it. Good luck, everyone.
I was Bobby and TJ. I was Dean. The FanDuel sponsor, Crunch Time. It starts now. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed Crunch Time, as Dean mentioned. It is sponsored by FanDuel, but what he didn't say is that this is the show where we bring on two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Dave Potts. Cheese is good. Hey, Cheese.
Hey, happy September.
Yeah.
Wild slate tonight. Super big slate. Lots of good stuff. Lots like good teams against good pitchers where you can do a lot of different things and make a case for it tonight. And yet we still even have chalk with that. Like I like it. It's a very good baseball slate.
Okay. I like it as well because despite the fact that it is a massive slate with all kinds of things happening, there are zero weather concerns. And that makes me do the happy shuffle. I am pleased on a little Friday night to not have to deal with that. I'm also pleased to see this guy, Derek Carty, the creator, inventor, and CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. We got Ron in chat. He says, hey, it's Carty, the guy I give my money to every month. He said it in a nice way. But Ron, you better be ready to give more money because the Blitz just dropped. Carty, why don't you plug the Blitz for the people?
Yeah, the Blitz is basically the football version of the Bat. Uses a lot of the same methodology to account for sample size variance, for player aging. plus a whole bunch of stuff that's, individual to football, accounts for field position and game situation and down and distance and all that kind of fun stuff. Weather is pretty important in football, and it accounts for weather. It's been great for subscribers. So if you've been hearing about it or thinking about jumping in, do it. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, very good. That was your pitch. But we are not here to. Does it? John says, does it account for gutlessness? I don't know if that's worked into the rankings yet. We're working on.
He has gutlessness and clutchness in there.
On that.
You're right. Yeah, gutlessness and clutchness still getting worked in. All right. Well, let's kind of talk about this slate. Carty, do you want to lead us off? Kind of zoomed out, or you can just dive right in, talk about some of these pitcher options.
Yeah, I think let's dive right in. It's a big slate. There's a lot going on this one. The top pitcher tonight is Max Scherzer. He's kind of in a tier by himself. He's Max Scherzer. He's against a Minnesota Twins offense that is the second most strikeout heavy on the slate and below average overall. And so at his price, it is expensive, but I think you can definitely get up there, especially on DraftKings. I don't think you have to, though, because kind of the tier below him, it's just a whole mess of guys that are all pretty similar, and a lot of them you're saving some money with. So if you're not playing Scherzer, I think you're still definitely fine. The next tier is kind of like Kodai Senga, Justin Verlander, Freddie Peralta, Zach Wheeler. And then there's maybe like a small drop off to another like 6 or 7 guys or 10 guys that are all pretty similar. So it's the kind of slate where you don't have to do a whole lot to be different, and you're not going to sacrifice a lot of projection when you do that. So some of the ones that I like the most, especially for cash games, the bat likes JP Sears a lot. He's 6.5K on DraftKings. He's 7.6 on Fanduel. He's facing this Angels lineup that is just a complete train wreck at this point. They just gave away almost all their good hitters. Yeah. They're going into Oakland, so it's a great environment. It's the only game under 70 degrees on the slate. It is obviously one of the best pitchers parks in baseball. And so Sears against this team for cheap is definitely a guy you're playing in cash on DraftKings. And I think there's a really strong case to be made to just do it on FanDuel also. Patrick Sandoval on the other side of that game on DraftKings at 7-2 is really good. You could just play Sears and Sandoval and get lots and lots of good stuff. I think in tournaments, that kind of build will probably wind up being popular, that plus cores, that kind of thing. But if you play one of them with a bigger guy, there's a lot of ways to kind of mix things up tonight. So that's kind of the basic rundown, I think.
Okay, that's fair. And I hate to put you on a spot when there's literally like 13 pitchers that you think are legitimately viable. But if you were building a cash lineup, let's say on DK, who would be your top 2? Or what does the bat say is like, this is the right thing? Noting that there's a lot that's clustered.
Yeah, the bat says you're playing Sears for sure. And then you're deciding whether to play Sandoval or to spend up for Scherzer or Senga or Verlander. That's kind of the move, yeah, or the decision.
Very good. All right. I do want to note as I kick it to Cheese that we've got Stan in chat that says no love for Glass now. And I assume Cheese, he's one of those guys that's like perfectly acceptable with so many dudes in that range.
Yeah, there's so many great pitchers, and he is the most expensive one. And like he's the one guy, not the one, but almost all of these expensive pitchers have 110 pitch upside, except for him. And he's facing Cleveland. So theoretically, like he can strike everybody out, and you're allowed to play him. But being the highest priced guy, like, yeah, he's kind of last of the ace tier for me. And honestly, I don't think I got to him at all, which I don't feel great about. I mean, he's Glass now, but yeah, officially, he's just kind of the odd man out at the salary.
Okay. So then let's dive into a tournament build. It sounds to me like there's not going to be a whole lot of chalk on the pitcher side of things. So what are you doing in tournaments? You can just play whoever you want.
Yeah, I think the wildest thing about looking at it is look at how spread out the projected ownership is. I mean, essentially everybody's between like 15 and 20%.
I mean, you nailed the pitchers.
That's what we got.
Yeah, I mean, you get the pitchers right, and you're pretty close to home here.
And I'm basically pretty close to Carty on most of them. Like I would play Scherzer and either Sears or Sandoval in cash. Like I don't think there's much reason not to do that. And I do think the double cheap will be kind of popular in tournaments. And I guess the kind of upper mid tier will probably get squeezed a little bit just because you can only play so many of these guys. I want to make sure I go out of my way to get some Peralta and Wheeler. Like those are the two guys who I see the slate breaking upside, and they're just a little bit overpriced. Like Senga and Verlander are cheaper. I'm talking DraftKings wise. And I do like Peralta and Wheeler slightly better, but like all those guys are just the same very good pitcher. And I'm pretty much mixing and matching them. But anywhere I can afford Scherzer, I'm just getting Scherzer. I like that too much. The other guys that I'm throwing in my mix, actually, let me jump to FanDuel first. Sears is the only real cheap pitcher that I'm messing with on FanDuel. There is some other cheap stuff you can mess with on DK, but really, I'm either playing Sears or I'm going Sandoval at 92 or I'm spending over 10K. Like I'm not messing with a super huge pool on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I'm throwing in tournament shots on Mitch Keller and Yuri Perez. The guy I'm most torn on is James Paxton. Like it seems like he should be a really good pivot off of Sears and Sandoval. He's looked so wonky, and I kind of like the Royals. So he's in there. If you're doing a bunch of lineups, and I don't think you want to just go crazy on Sears and Sandoval. So mix in a little Paxton. But for the most part, I'm on the Sears Sandoval side. Yeah. I'm about to tell you that I want all of the Detroit Tigers bats. Whoa. But I'm also going to absolutely have a Touki Toussaint, the 1 in 10 game when he knows where the strike zone is. He could strike out 12 batters today, and I would not fall out of my chair stunned. Officially, I'm on the other side of that game.
Yeah.
But a 6K guy like that is worth a shot in a large field.
All right. So you mentioned that you feel like the double cheap build is going to be kind of popular in tournaments, but is the double cheap enough spread out so that you're not even concerned ownership wise, even if you
I mean, really, I'm just not concerned about ownership at all with pitchers. Like that is not going to be my decision point. Okay. I think there's no chance that anything is so high owned in any tournament that it ruins your night.
Okay. Well, then let's flip the script and let's go over to the bats and the stacks. Cheese, what do we like there?
So the chalk is the Blue Jays. It's interesting. Like everybody hates the Blue Jays. Like the Blue Jays and the Padres are those two teams that just disappointed everyone all year. Mm-hmm. So I feel like everyone is saying I'm fading the Blue Jays. I'm fading the Blue Jays. I don't think everybody's actually fading the Blue Jays though. Like they will be the chalk, and they're the most likely team to score the most runs. But on a 14-game slate, I don't know. I'm way underweight on the Blue Jays, and we'll just hope that, Flexen's been almost kind of okay in a weird little way. At least he's not walking anybody currently. In cash games, just play your Blue Jays. My favorite pivots, Boston and Baltimore, far and away my two favorite teams. Detroit is my favorite cheap team on FanDuel and team that is clearly overpriced, which makes me love them more on DraftKings. I also like Houston a very good bit. But it's one of those slates where you can make a case for every team because they're either facing a bad pitcher, facing a wild pitcher, or a really good team facing a good pitcher. Like, yes, I want a completely unowned Brave stack. I mean, it doesn't matter what their salaries and who they're facing, but I can't really tell you any reason to play them other than, hey, it's baseball and no one else is playing them.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we're trying to parse out all of these good pitchers and all of these good teams. So could you give me your top three real quick, and then I want to compare it to Carty's?
I can. Boston, Baltimore, Detroit.
Thank you. That's what it was. So Carty, let's bring you in here. What is your, what are your top few?
Yeah. So kind of like Cheese said, people are going to play the Blue Jays. I don't think we're going to see much in the way of chalk outside of them. So basically anything else you do is going to be different enough. I think you'll probably see some ownership on the Rockies. I think you'll see some on Boston. But like you don't have to, it's the kind of slate, like she said, where you can make a real case for like 75 to 80% of these teams. I like Baltimore quite a bit. I like the Braves a lot. The Braves project as the 5th best stack overall tonight, just because they're the Braves. Doesn't matter. They're facing a good pitcher. They're the Braves, and no one's going to play them, and they're super expensive. But if you do like one of the weird cheap pitcher things, like you can get a Brave stack. So I really like getting up to the Braves tonight. I do like Detroit a lot as filler pieces, mini stack kind of thing at their price tags. And the same thing for the Marlins.
Okay, very good. By the way, I got to give you a little shout out from Frederick Doot in the chat. Carty says, I love the blitz, and Carty is a rock star, totally worth the investment. Now, let's pump the brakes on rock star, but he's all right. You know, he's okay. I don't know about the rock star part of that. Okay, very good, guys, with no weather concerns and us already going through pitcher and stacks. It's time to go around the horn position by position. We'll get some home run picks, and we'll get to all of your questions as well. That's coming up in just a bit. But don't forget, this show is sponsored by FanDuel. You got to sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $5 little, get $200 in bonus bets, plus $100 off NFL Sunday ticket. Terms and conditions do apply, but make sure you are checking that out. Carty, let's start with some catcher talk. Eric points out, Eric says, do you see that shirt unbuttoned? Carty is most definitely a rock star. That's true. I forgot about the unbuttoned shirt. That does earn him rock star potential.
Roth, you have partied with me. Are there not rock star-like quality?
It is. It's a little too much for me. That's saying something. So, all right, let's start it off with the catcher position.
All right. So catcher tonight. We have the Blue Jays in cores, and at just about every position, a Blue Jay is going to be the best play. So at catcher, Danny Jansen, he's only 4.1K on DraftKings, and that's silly because he is far and away the best catcher tonight, and he is going to be so ridiculously high owned, but you have to play him in cash. In GPPs, you can do other stuff. Elias Diaz on the other side of that game, I like a lot. Baltimore projects really well tonight, so Adley Rutschman either in the stack or as a one-off. Sean Murphy for sure as a one-off or in that expensive Brave stack. Like there's a whole bunch of good stuff you can do. If you need to save money, Connor Wong for Boston is going to be your best bet, but certainly won't be sneaky.
Okay, great. Cheese, what say you there?
I would say the first thing I would say is on FanDuel, I like catchers in stacks. Jansen's one of my first 4 Blue Jays in a stack. And I think you've got Vlad, Belt, and Jansen all jamming up at the most 2 spots. So I would say, like, kind of go out of your way to play Jansen in Blue Jay stacks on FanDuel. I do love Rutschman. I like him on FanDuel as well, where he's cheaper. Diaz is also one of the first 4 bats in my Rockies stack. The cheap stuff is kind of sketchy. I like Wong, Gabriel Moreno. It's okay.
Okay.
That's all I have to say. It's
okay. I didn't know if there was more coming.
I was looking for
okay.
more adjectives, but okay is the one I have.
That's perfect. All right. If you got a perfect, no need to add to it. All right. How about first base?
Yeah. So this is the first kind of big decision point, I think, is with if you want to play a Blue Jay at all, and if so, which one? I think Vlad and Belt take so much of the ownership that anything else you do, you're off the board here. The problem is the usual big first basemen are in really less than ideal matchups for the salaries, like Olsen and Freeman against good lefties. Bryce Harper is expensive against Peralta, Goldschmidt. They're all kind of, you can play them. But with expensive guys, I do either want the Blue Jays or I want Christian Walker. I'd kind of rather go mid-tier-ish. I like the Boston guys, Casas and Justin Turner. I forgot to mention Sal Perez on FanDuel at 2,500. Speaking of, you can play catchers there. I don't know if there's anyone else I want to mention. I don't think so. Andrew Vaughn on DraftKings as random cheap guy. Like at some point, you have to play hitters against kind of good pitchers, and I think I like him better than the Rockies guys as one-off in a tournament. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and I want to kick it back real quick to Catcher Cheese because Hollow Bones in the chat says, what about our guy Langoliers, or as we like to call it, Langelier? Langelier, 2,900 on DK. Any interest there?
Yeah, so I've got this little tier. I have him just below Moreno and Wong, and I didn't feel the need to name 3 cheap guys. But sure, he's in that mix.
Great. Okay, Carty, let's get your thoughts on first here.
Yeah, Vlad's easily the top guy. It's just a matter of whether you're spending up for him. For me in cash, I think he's a priority. I would like to get up there. On FanDuel, I think you find a way to play Vlad and Danny Jansen. Even though you don't have to play a catcher, he's good enough on his own that play one of these guys in the first base spot, play one of them in the util, and that's what you're doing. Cheese is right, though, that all the expensive, star pivots are really not in good spots. And all those mid-tier guys basically project exactly the same as your Goldschmidts, your Olsons, your Freemans, your Harpers. So Ryan Mountcastle is a guy that I like quite a bit. Tristan Casas for Boston, and our good friend Spencer Torkelson is very good here. Yeah. The Tiger stack we both mentioned liking. They're pretty cheap. Torkelson is not cheap, but he's one of the best hitters, maybe the best hitter in that lineup. And so you probably play him in that stack or even as a one-off because it's a big park upgrade. This park is great for power, and Tukey is not great.
Gotcha. All right. Ron says, what about Moreno? I'm realizing Ron's last name is also Moreno, so there is a little bit of bias here, but is he in the mix?
We both mentioned him. He's the catcher.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you have it. Wonderful. All right. Second base, Carty, what do we got?
We got another Blue Jay as the top guy. That would be Davis Schneider, who's hitting second for the Blue Jays, and he's really good, especially on FanDuel. He's 3.4K. I don't think you have to really look too much further than that. If you want it, I guess you can play Whit Merrifield for 100 less in the same lineup, but Schneider's the guy. If you can't get up there, or on DraftKings, you can play him in the outfield instead of second base. You can go down and play Brendan Rodgers in the Colorado lineup. He's only 3.4 on DraftKings, which is way too cheap. Even against a decent pitcher, it's still a lefty and it's still Coors, and he's still way too cheap in the middle of that order. So I like him quite a bit. On FanDuel, I think you can save a little bit of money with Brandon Lau in a good spot against Quantrill. Brendan Rodgers over there is 2.8K. He's really cheap. Trevor Story for 3K, I think is pretty good there. And then other than that, you have your expensive guys. Like if you want to pay up for Mookie Betts against Fried, like you can try to play Altuve against Rodon, I guess. You can hope that Rodon is just broken right now and that he gets on base and it's a good stolen base matchup. So there's upside for Altuve, but you're not getting a discount on most of these guys. So, for me, at least in cash, it's really just the Coors game.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, Cheese, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, it is similar to first, where like the expensive bats are facing the good pitchers, and it makes them kind of difficult spends. I do love Betts and Altuve, but I don't want to sacrifice my whole lineup just to get them. I would say Brandon Lau is my favorite play on FanDuel. DraftKings wise, I don't like any of these players. I really don't. Like it's either weird pricing or not great plays. I guess Brendan Rodgers, I don't think will probably get played quite enough. Yeah, this is a very much playing a guy in my stack, unless I can spend up.
Okay, then how about third base?
All right, so the next couple positions are where we get some plays that I just absolutely love and want to force in everywhere I can, which is Devers at third, and then Gunnar Henderson at either third or short. Those are probably my two favorite bats on the whole slate at any position. We're going to get some, left out guys like Jose Ramirez and Austin Riley. Throw Machado in there, Arenado, Justin Turner. There's a lot of third basemen always. But I want as much Devers and Gunnar Henderson as possible. Just going to look at my little sheet over here.
Mm-hmm.
I think is Longoria in the lineup? Yeah. So Longoria is a cheap guy. And I think you are legally allowed to play Ernie Clement. But I don't recommend it.
Okay. And to be clear, when you said look at my little sheet, were you looking at something on a computer screen? Or...
Yes, on my computer screen.
Okay.
my other monitor over it, my spiral monitor, as I call it.
Oh, I love the hand build. Wonderful. All right. I do want to make a quick little addition to our weather. I said there were no concerns, and I'm changing my mind in the slightest little bit in that there is a low chance of a brief delay in Colorado. The game is still completely fine for bats, and they probably won't even have a delay. So
fine, I won't play Chris Flexen then.
Yeah, like I don't think it matters. I just don't want people coming after me if there is like a 30-minute delay or whatever. I will add that to the weather page. In the meantime, Carty, I want your thoughts at third base.
Agree with Cheese. Devers is the guy that if you can get up there, that's the guy you want to do. On FanDuel, it's a lot easier than DraftKings, but you can certainly do it on both sites. I like the Gunnar Henderson thing quite a bit, especially on FanDuel. Of those kind of good guys in tough matchups, my favorite is Jose Ramirez against Glasnow. I mean, they're all facing good pitchers, but what Ramirez has working for him is if he gets on against Glasnow, this is one of the best possible stolen base matchups you can have. This is like getting on against Noah Syndergaard. Glasnow is extremely easy to steal against, and so I think that gives Ramirez extra upside that a guy like Austin Riley maybe doesn't have. Doesn't mean I don't like Riley. Doesn't mean I don't want to play him in my Brave stacks. But Ramirez is kind of the one that sticks out to me of that group. Cheese said he wouldn't play Ernie Clement. I have no problem playing Ernie Clement. Probably more as a shortstop than a third baseman, but he's really cheap. He's in Coors. He's in this Blue Jays lineup, and that's good enough for me.
Sure. All right. Fair. Let's go to shortstop, Carty.
So honestly, I think going down to Ernie Clement at shortstop is entirely viable on DraftKings. On FanDuel, probably unnecessary. The savings aren't as big, and you don't need as many cheap guys. But on DK, like you can pay up if you want. You can play Corey Seager against Ryan. You can play Bobby Witt against Paxton. But like, do I want to pay $6K for these guys against good pitchers? Not really. You can do the Gunnar Henderson thing, which I think is totally fine. I guess you can play Ezekiel Tovar in Coors on the opposite side from the Blue Jays. You have Trevor Story. You have Zach McKinstry leading off against Tukey in that good park. Definitely part of that Detroit stack that we like. Ernie Clement is there, and he's good. And on DraftKings, I honestly think that's probably the move. On FanDuel, I think you probably are paying up for a Seager or a Witt who aren't as expensive, or more likely Gunnar Henderson, who is way too cheap, even though he's basically in the same tier as those two guys tonight.
Yeah. All right. Cheese, what are you doing there at short? And are you okay with that punt at short that you didn't love so much at third?
So I don't really mind the Ernie Clement for 2,600 in general. It's simply that third and short are my two favorite positions on the whole slate to spend up for.
Okay.
So it's just that this isn't the position I really want to punt.
Gotcha.
It's not so much that Clement at Coors isn't worth 2,600. It's that I want to play Devers, Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt, and Corey Seager, and I can already only play two of them. And if I take one of them out at short, then I obviously can't play all four of them. That's like my favorite group of players on this whole slate. And that's why I'm not going to go out of my way to spend up at first or second, because this is where I want my spend up. I want Gunnar, Witt, and Seager in that order. and then I'm just goofing around. Like I think Trevor Story's fine. The other cheap guy that I'm throwing in is Nick Lofton. Nick Lofton is the Royals rookie. He's basically Ernie Clement is who he is, but he's not in
But
course.
not in course.
Right. So if you don't, or if you already have used all your Blue Jay spots and need another cheap guy, there's another cheap guy there. But I just so much want to spend up at short.
Yeah. All right. Let's kick it to the outfield. Cheese, what do we got there?
So we got your chalk with George Springer. You can also move Schneider to the outfield on DraftKings, and then Varsho will probably be kind of popular. I would play a Blue Jay or two in cash. I don't love them in tournaments. I mean, Springer is still a pretty good play to me in tournaments because the guys I like more than him are also more expensive. The exception being Jazz Chisholm. But then I think Jazz is also kind of borderline chalk, especially on FanDuel. So I don't think you're getting sneaky with that. I think if you want to get sneaky, it's spending up. But again, I don't know if I've said it before, I prefer to spend up at third and shortstop, which leaves me a little short of where I want to be on guys like Judge and Acuna. In the mid-tier, other than Toronto and Chisholm, I like Santander a lot. I like Adam Duvall and really all the Red Sox a lot. I like the Tigers, lefties, Green and Carpenter. I like Stanton on FanDuel. And then I go down a tier to where we have like the Arizona guys, Gurriel and Pham. I like a pretty good bit. And then there's plenty of super cheap stuff. Jesus Sanchez. I just want to talk about Jason Dominguez. His name is Jason, and he has 2 S's in his first name. So obviously I'm playing that guy. He's actually
Jason Dominguez.
Yes. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pretty good prospects coming up this month. He got power and a lot of speed and patience. So I'm a fan, even in a tough matchup at minimum salary. Nelson Velasquez, I like a good bit. I could go on, but that's kind of the highlights.
Can I tie in the Jason Dominguez to a question I saw from Dean here in the chat? Maybe you saw it, and that's what kind of prompted this. Dean says, among all of the call-ups, Lofton, Dominguez, Mauricio, and Paris making their debut tonight, who do you like the most as a 2K dart?
They're all close enough that it kind of depends on positional needs. I think in general, I'm most interested, not tonight in general, Mauricio is the guy I'm most interested in. But I don't like him as much batting ninth in New York against Gilbert. So personally, I have the most Dominguez. For tonight, long term, I would say Mauricio. Long term being the next month, not forever.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Very interesting. All right, Carty, I want your thoughts in the outfield, and then we got to give away some home run picks.
Yeah, so the Jays are going to be the chalk. Springer, Davis Schneider on DraftKings are awesome. You want to play them, Springer especially. A lot of the high-end guys are facing good pitchers again here. You have your Acuna, you have your Judge, you have your, whoever, Mookie. But I think kind of the tier right below them, especially price-wise, you have guys like Tatis, Arozarena, who are a little cheaper than those guys, but just as good because they're facing a little bit weaker caliber of pitcher. And so I like guys like that quite a bit. And then for saving money, I like guys from Miami, Detroit, and who am I forgetting? Baltimore. You have Jazz, who's going to be chalk, especially on FanDuel. But Jesus Sanchez, Garrett Hampson also, I think, are totally fine here. For Detroit, you have Riley Green. You have Zach McKinstry, who's eligible on FanDuel at a bunch of positions, including the outfield. What was the other team I said? Oh, Baltimore. So you have Ryan O'Hearn, you have Anthony Santander. I think Baltimore's one of the better teams tonight. You have Cedric Mullins on FanDuel, who's underpriced. One of the better teams tonight, and facing Zach Davies, I think they're one of my favorite stacks tonight. And outfield is a spot where you can really do good things with them. Oh, and Matt Vierling for Detroit, I forgot to mention. So he, especially on FanDuel, he's really cheap.
Great. All right, let's get some home run picks here. We got about 11 or so minutes until lock. Cheese, can I put you on the spot here? Give me a few names, maybe a big name and something a little sneakier.
Sure. Gunnar Henderson and something sneakier. Nelson Velasquez.
Excellent. Carty, a couple names, or perhaps maybe what the bat has as the best bet. I'm picking the new guy, Cheese, that you just mentioned, Jason going yard tonight. What are the odds?
The bad thing,
Carty?
I can take a look and see if he has a prop out. But for fantasy purposes, Vlad has the top chance. He's not going to be sneaky. Someone that's maybe a little more off the radar, Matt Olson projects for the 4th best chance. And again, no one's going to play Braves, especially a lefty against a lefty, but his home run chances are still very good tonight. Let me see. Jason Dominguez. Wow. Yeah, you're not betting on Jason Dominguez tonight. His best odds are like plus 500 for a home run, and that's not nearly good enough.
That's silly. I would have guessed it was plus 2,000.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be something like that. So I am much less excited now that I know that. Never mind. I retract my imaginary money.
Actual best plays for a home run. Paul Goldschmidt plus 925 tonight, which is really nice odds for a guy like Goldschmidt. That's over at Bet365. And then our rando Andrew Monasterio for plus 2,200 points bet is a really good shot. He's got
that stuff makes me so happy.
Yeah,
he's got a 6% chance of hitting a home run tonight, but at 22-1, that's sweet value.
You're right. That is good. That is wonderful value. I will add that your boy Goldie was a turd bomb. And if you have no idea what a turd bomb is, it is our guy Grant Niefer's home run pick. So he was a turd
It's a good
bomb
thing. You want someone to be a turd bomb.
Believe it or not, you want them to be a turd bomb. So yeah, and Grant's been hot. So I like that home run call there with Goldie. Okay, we have about 10 minutes here until we get to lock. So we're going to take some QQs, but also we've got another read. The NFL, it's here, baby. It's like right around the corner. The salaries are out. You can taste it. You can touch it. Let us do the legwork so you can work less, win more this NFL season. You get access to everything we have to offer at a special discounted rate, only available to those without a RotoGrinders subscription. Get a full season subscription, $50 off, limited time price of $375. This sale ends opening night of the season. So get it while it's hot. Get it while you can, because soon it will be back to $425, and then you just paid $50 for nothing. So get it now while you can. Head Chopper says, but probably not that Head Chopper. I never know if this is the real Head Chopper or the imitation Head Chopper. Says, can we sneak in Cleveland tonight? Cheese?
I mean, they're so far down the list. You can definitely sneak in Jose Ramirez. I mean, sure, you can do whatever you want. I didn't get there personally, and in 150, I might have gotten to one Cleveland stack. You can do whatever you want.
Okay. I'm jumping into the RotoGrinders Discord. That's where the cool kids are hanging out. And I'm scrolling up just a little bit. Steve O seems like a good spot to begin here. He says, DK Singlantry, am I nuts, Carty, for thinking an age stack to win it all?
It's the Bats' least favorite stack of the night. So I wouldn't say you're crazy, but I'd say probably don't do that.
Okay. Let's see. Chinatown Cheese SPs rank them by likelihood to tank a DK cash lineup. That's interesting. All right. 3 starting pitchers by rank of likelihood to tank a cash lineup. Paxton, Sandoval, Sears.
Yeah, that's like they all do have tank potential. But I would say Paxton is the most likely to tank your lineup. And I would say Sandoval is the least likely, though they're so very close.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. DKGPP Cheese, I'm coming right back to you here. Sub 2-2 in the outfield.
Jason Dominguez.
That's my boy, Jason Dominguez. That's a Jason Derulo reference there. What do we got? Cheese. Sorry, Carty. Thoughts on JP Sears as a pivot off Tukey in FanDuel single entries. Is he viable? That seems backwards to me.
Yeah, I think that must be misworded.
Yeah, I mean Sears is the guy I think you play in cash tonight. He's not gonna be like under the radar. He's going to be owned a little bit. I don't like Tukey.
Yeah. Okay. You guys like Betts or Acuna? Carty, you guys like Betts or Acuna? We like them both, but the question, I suppose, who do you like more?
I like Acuna more.
Okay. DKGPP Cheese. This is a 2v2 with a Toronto stack. Verlander Green or Senga Chisholm?
Yeah. I mean, I would flip like a nickel and for that one. Give me Verlander Green.
Not even a quarter? You're going to flip a nickel for it?
Yeah, you need the extra weight on it.
Yeah.
It's so close. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
right.
Verlander and Senga are like in that tier of like they're all the same guy. Give me Verlander Green, but it's very close.
Okay. DK Cash Cheese, back to you. Last outfielder, Duval or Chisholm?
Oh, absolutely love them both. I would lean Jazz.
Okay. Carty, anybody playing Texas in a DKGPP from Luke Cage?
I think Texas is certainly viable, but they're expensive. If I'm going to pick an expensive team, I'd probably rather have the Braves or Houston, but I'm not going to say Texas is bad tonight. You can play them. I don't think they'll be popular. That's the question.
Great. All right. Internet famous DK single entry GPP. Carty, back to you here. Keller and Casas or Sandoval and Vladdy Jr.?
Sandoval and Vlad is easily the better combo projection wise, but they're also going to be significantly more owned.
We're not worried about that chalk. We're not worried about the chalk today, Carty. You can't build a chalky lineup if you tried. You can't get duped if you tried, Carty. I mean, you probably could. Yeah, I mean, you probably could.
Blue Jays are how you do it. Vlad is how you do it.
That is the way to do it if you're trying. All right. Cheese, back to you, FanDuel Cash. Util spot, Belt, Jansen, or Merrifield?
I prefer Jansen there.
Okay, another cash question, which is weird. 2 in a row cash questions for Cheese. Sorry about that. Devers, Duval, Jansen, Cheese, or Jordan, Bregman, Belt?
Devers, Duval, Jansen.
Okay, Carty, back to you for a couple. DK single entry GPP. Trav Darno and Berger, or Wong and Riley?
I'll take Wong and Riley.
Steve O says DK GPP, Carty, Senga or Peralta?
I mean, they project very, very similarly. I would take Senga, but there's not a wrong answer.
Okay, we'll go to Jay Sam's question here again. I'm still pulling these from the RG Discord. Make sure you're hanging out there. I always start there, and make sure you join the RotoGrinders Discord. That's the key. I'll try to jump over to YouTube in a second here. FanDuel single entry Cheese. Do you mind leaving Devers out of your Boston stack and pivoting with Turner and Casas at first and third? Would also have Riley at the util. Will you yell at me for this? Will you yell at him, or is that okay?
I have always wanted to yell at J Sam's. I mean,
yeah, same.
Come on, man. But you had me at, like, I didn't mind leaving him out for Turner and Mikasa Tsukasas, but then saying you also have Riley, I don't know. At that point, then I kind of would yell at you, even though I like Riley.
Is it that we're giving up too much upside?
Because you can play all three of them. Like forgetting the last part of the question, I don't mind leaving Devers out for Turner and Casas. Let me just leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. DK Cash 3v3 Cheese. Max, Berger. That's Mad Max, Berger, and Doyle, or Sandoval, Devers, Chisholm?
I would get up to Max and Cash.
Okay, 2 quick questions that I'm jumping to the YouTube. Carty, card stack versus Keller?
They're certainly viable. They're in the top half tonight. They're not one of my absolute favorites, but yeah, you can do a card stack against Keller.
Okay, and then best outfielder, Carty, DK Cash 2,600 or less, while I jump to our YouTube.
2,600 or less. Outfield's a spot, honestly, that I don't love punting tonight. I guess it's probably Garrett Hampson and then put that money somewhere else. I think that's probably it.
All right. Andrew Martinez says, Cheese, top 3 Astros to stack a stack. Top 3 Astros to stack a stack with on DK. I like that. That is well worded.
Yeah. Assuming you have salary, I would play Altuve, Alvarez, Tucker. And if you need something cheaper, I'm quite content using Jake Myers. Like, he's not like a top 3 guy, but he's like the guy that I think is too cheap for the stack if you need a way to make it work.
Great. All right. Cheese, Duval, Belt, or Jansen Verdugo?
Duval, Belt.
Okay. Marcus says, Carty, I'm looking for a pitcher. I'm looking for a man to go along with Sears in a GPP 7,800. So an SP2 7,800 or less in the GPP.
Patrick Sandoval.
Great. Okay. Am I stupid, Carty? That's not me asking. David is asking, am I stupid, Carty? I changed all my Toussaint Scherzer to Spears, Sandoval, Paxton after listening to TJ earlier.
I'm fine with that. I don't like Tukey at all tonight, and Scherzer will probably be the highest owned. So, yeah, I like that.
Okay. Anthony says, what are your thoughts on an A's? Just what are your thoughts on a Rays stack? Cheese, what are your thoughts? Not A's and Rays, just a Rays. But he capitalized A, which threw me off.
I kind of do like the Rays. They're, as far as like the teams that would just be overlooked, they're one of my favorites.
Yeah. Is Paredes in the lineup? Because that dude just hits bombs.
Oh, yes, sir.
Just hits bombs. Get him in there. The OMG father says, hey, almost lock time. Good luck to everybody. Thank you for the RotoGrinders crew. Smash the like button on your way out. He said it. It's right there. I didn't say it. He said it. But he's right. I forgot to beg for likes like I'm supposed to do, or that like I should do. So make sure you hit us with a little thumbs up for this amazing free content. 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz brought you all the way up to lock for free. Shout out to our sponsor, Fanduel. Make sure you're hanging out in the RotoGrinders Discord. Make sure you're signing up for our NFL promo. Make sure you're joining us each and every day here as we roll things on with Crunch Time. With that, you guys have anything you want to add, or shall we go get some dinner and watch some sports?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty solid. So for Cheese, for Carty, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.